The Cubs take on the Reds, 12:35 Eastern Standard Time. Cincinnati's minus 340, totals 9.5. Tyler Mahle for the Reds, Adrian Sampson for Chicago. And following yet another winning day of premium sports picks on my website, brockpage.com. We also improved to 10-1 in our last 11 daily best plays on that very website. And if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, the link for that site is in the description section below. And once again, that's brockpage.com. We're also hitting at 75% in our last dozen extra daily picks on that very same website as well. We currently have over 825 members who are signed up and active on that page. And once again, guys, if you want to see which one of these free YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, there's only one way to do it, only one way to find out, and that is at brockpage.com. Now, it does look like Adrian Sampson is making his debut here today for the Cubs. He is making his debut. I don't know why I keep saying that. He's making his debut for the Cubbies here today. And Chicago, they're winning only 34% of their contests away from home this year. Now, the Cubs have also struggled at the plate. They're being held to just 7.4 hits a game, and they also find themselves striking out nearly 10 times per contest at the plate. Now, they're taking on a Cincinnati club who won 4 out of their last 6, and they also win 65% of their divisional games. The Reds are in the top 3 in home scoring, and they're led by Nick Castellanos, who's third in the league with a .317 batting average. Now, the outfielder is also 10th in the majors with a .943 OPS. Meanwhile, Joey Votto's hit 26 homers and knocked in 76. He's also currently 9th in the bigs with a .946 OPS. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, the Reds are striking out 10.1 batters a game at the Great American Ballpark. Tyler Mahle's fanned 155 batters, and he has a 10-3 record coming into today's start. Now, the righties also got a .358 ERA and a 1.18 whip. When it comes to the total on this one, the Reds are 67% to the over in their divisional home games. They're also 71-50 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Cincinnati Reds minus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. Next ball game, Indians Twins, 1:10 p.m. East. Minnesota's minus 120, totals 9. Lewis Thorpe for Minnesota, Zach Plesac for Cleveland. Plesac 7-4 on the season with a solid 1.11 whip. The Indians won 3 out of their last 5 ball games, and that includes a 3-1 victory over the Twins just yesterday. Now, Cleveland's also done a really nice job against the AL Central this year. They're 32-21 straight up against their divisional foes, and that's good for a win percentage of .604 in that category. They're taking on a Minnesota club who still has a losing record at Target Field. This Minnesota pitching staff is in the bottom 3 in runs allowed per contest. Lewis Thorpe is also 0-2 on the year through just 14 innings of work. When it comes to the total on this one, Minnesota's 17-10 to the over in their divisional games at Target Field. Meanwhile, Cleveland saw over 60% of their divisional games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Cleveland Indians plus $1 and the over 9. Next game, Pods Rockies, 3:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The San Diego Padres are minus 130, totals 13.5. Jake Arrieta for San Diego. Chichi Gonzalez for Colorado. And despite a pretty tough year for Chichi, the Rockies are on a 2-game winning streak, and they also won 3 out of their last 4 ball games. The Rockies have a .656 win percentage at Coors Field. They've been very good at home, and they're also leading the majors in home scoring. C.J. Cron's hit 21 homers and knocked in 65. Meanwhile, Ryan McMahon, he's hit 18 home runs and knocked in 60. Colorado's leading the majors in home hits. They're taking on a San Diego club who's got a losing record on the road this year. They've also won just 8 out of 21 divisional road games as well. The San Diego pitching staff is in the bottom half of the league in road walks allowed. Jake Arrieta is also just 5-11 on the year with a .688 ERA. Arrieta also has a 1.76 whip. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, 4 out of San Diego's last 6 away games stayed under the line. Colorado's 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Colorado Rockies plus $1.10 and the under 13.5. Next matchup, Mets-Giants, 3:45 Eastern Standard Time. San Francisco's minus 145, totals 8.5. Anthony DeSclafani for San Francisco, Tyler McGill for New York. Now, McGill's just 1-2 on the year through 50 innings of work. The Mets have lost their last 5 straight, and they win only 38% of their road games. This New York lineup is bringing home only 3.7 runners a game. They're taking on a first-place San Francisco club who's 42-18 at home, and they walk fewer batters than any other team in the majors. Anthony DeSclafani, he's 11-5 on the season, 3.29 ERA and a 1.08 whip. The righties also punched out 122 batters. San Francisco allows only 3.7 runs a game. And total-wise, oddly enough, San Francisco's 28-22 to the over against the National League at Oracle Park. Give me the San Francisco Giants minus 145 and the over 8.5. Next game, Blue Jays Nationals, 4:05 Eastern start time. Toronto's minus 170, numbers 9. Jose Barrios for Toronto, Josiah Gray for Washington. Now, Gray's got just 16 innings under his belt this year, 0-1 officially on the season. The Nationals have lost 7 out of their last 8, and they're in the bottom 5 in the league in striking batters out at home. Meanwhile, offensively, Washington is in the bottom 10 in home scoring as well. They're taking on a high-powered Toronto club who leads the league in fewest strikeouts at the plate when traveling. Somebody must be getting shanked outside. This is ridiculous. They just won't stop. Anyway, Vlad Guerrero, he's hitting .316 with 35 homers and 88 ribbies. The Sluggers also got an OPS of 1.024. Now, Vlad finds himself in the top 5 in the league in all 4 of those categories I just mentioned. Meanwhile, Marcus Semion's hit 27 homers and batted in 70. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Toronto's holding their opponents to just 7.2 hits a game on the road. Now, Jose Barrios, he's 8-6 with a 3.52 ERA and a 1.09 whip. The righties also struck out 142 batters. When it comes to the total on this one, Toronto saw 6 out of their last 9 interleague games on the road stay under the number. Meanwhile, Washington is 37-26 to the under at Nationals Park. I'm going to lean toward the Toronto Blue Jays minus 170 and the under 9 runs. Next ball game, Red Sox, Yankees, 7:05 Eastern first pitch. The New York Yankees are minus $1.15, totals 10. Andrew Heaney for New York, Nick Pivetta for Boston. Pivetta's got a 4.20 ERA and a 1.25 whip. The Bo Sox have also lost their last 2 straight, with both of those losses coming against the Yankees. And this Red Sox pitching staff is in the bottom 5 in hits allowed. They're taking on a Yankees club who's on a 5-game winning streak themselves, and they lead the league in offensive walks at the plate. Aaron Judge has an OPS of 899. He's pretty much always on base. A lot of walks. He's batting .286 with 26 home runs. Meanwhile, Giancarlo Stanton's hit 19 homers and knocked in 58. And of course, when it comes to the pitching in this one, New York allows just 3.8 runs a game at Yankee Stadium. Andrew Heaney, he's got 7 wins on the year along with 131 strikeouts. Now, total-wise, 3 out of New York's last 4 home games stayed under the line. Boston is 34-27 to the under when they travel. I'm going to lean toward the New York Yankees minus $1.15 and the under 10. Next ball game, Orioles, Rays, 7:10 p.m. East. Tampa Bay's minus 320, totals 9. Lewis Head for Tampa. Spencer Watkins for Baltimore. Watkins is just 2-4 with a 5.25 ERA and a 1.44 whip. The last place O's have the fewest wins in Major League Baseball, and they're on a 13-game losing streak. They also give up more runs per contest than any other team in baseball. They're taking on a first-place Rays club who won 7 out of their last 10, And they also win over 67% of their divisional ball games. This Rays lineup is in the top 3 in scoring. And they're led by Austin Meadows, who's 9th in the league in RBI with 79. Brandon Lau's also hit 28 home runs, which is 8th in the league. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, Tampa gives up only 3.2 runs a game at the Trop. Now, Lewis Head, he's got a 1.85 ERA and a .90 whip in very limited action. And when it comes to the number in this one, Tampa's 28-24 to the under against the American League at home. I'm going to lean toward the Tampa Bay Rays -1.5 and the under 9. Next ball game, Angels-Tigers, 7:10 Eastern start time. The LA Angels are -135, numbers 8.5. Shohei Ohtani for Los Angeles. Tarek Skubal for Detroit. Now, Skubal's got 127 strikeouts along with 8 wins. The Tigers won 5 out of their last 9 ball games, 33-28 straight up at Comerica Park this year. They're taking on an Angels club who dropped 5 out of their last 8 themselves. And they also have a losing record on the road. And as good as they've been offensively this season at the plate, the Angels are in the bottom 10 in road scoring. Now, total-wise, the Angels are 29-22 to the under against American League competition away from home. Meanwhile, the Tigers have seen 61% of their home games stay under the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Detroit Tigers +1.5 and the under 8.5. Next game, Braves, Marlins, 7:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Atlanta's -230, total 7.5. Charlie Morton for Atlanta, Jesus Luzardo for Miami. Now, Luzardo's got just 14 1/3 innings of work under his belt this year, 9.20 ERA and a 1.91 whip. Meanwhile, offensively, Miami averages nearly double-digit strikeouts a game at the plate. They're winning just 46% of their divisional contests. They're taking on an Atlanta club who's on a 5-game winning streak, 8-1 straight up in their last 9. These Atlanta pitchers are allowing only 3.8 runs a game when they travel. Charlie Morton's 11-4 with a 3.49 ERA and a 1.11 whip. He's also fanned 155 batters. Now, scoring-wise, Atlanta went 60% to the over in their last 10 outings. Miami saw 7 out of their last 10 ball games get over the line themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Atlanta Braves -1.5 and the over 7.5. Next matchup, Brewers, Cards, 7:45 Eastern first pitch. The Milwaukee Brewers are -1.25, total 7. Freddie Peralta for Milwaukee, Jack Flaherty for St. Louis. And as good as Flaherty's been this season, he's pitching for a team who scores just 3.8 runs a game at Busch Stadium. The St. Louis lineup is also in the bottom 10 in hits. They're taking on a first-place Brewers club who's on a 3-game winning streak. And they also got the job done in 7 out of their last 8 as well. Milwaukee plays their best baseball on the road, and they have a record of 41-20 when they travel. This Milwaukee pitching staff is arguably the best in baseball. They allow the fewest runs on the road in the league, and they're striking out double-digit batters a game. And of course, speaking of strikeouts, Freddie Peralta struck out 162 batters along with his .91 whip. The righty's 9-3 on the year with a 2.26 ERA. Now, when it comes to the number in this one, oddly enough, Milwaukee is 20-13 to the over in their divisional games on the road. St. Louis is also 25-19 to the over against the NL Central themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Brewers -1.25 in the over 7. Next ball game, Mariners, Rangers, 8:05 East. Seattle's -170, totals 9. Marco Gonzalez for Seattle, Mike Foltynewicz for Texas. Now, Folty's just 2-11 on the year, 5.66 ERA, and a 1.30 whip. The last place Rangers have the second fewest wins in the American League, and they find themselves 35 games below 500. This Rangers lineup is dead last in home walks at the plate, and they're averaging only 3.7 runs per contest. They're taking on a Seattle club who won 5 out of their last 6, and they find themselves 7 games above 500. Now, Mitch Hanninger has hit 26 home runs. Kyle Seager with 26 home runs of his own. Meanwhile, pitching-wise, the Mariners are in the top 10 in fewest walks allowed per 9. Marco Gonzalez has suffered just 5 losses on the year. He's got 74 strikeouts and a 1.26 whip. When it comes to the total in this one, Seattle went 70% to the under in their last 10 ball games, 4-0 to the under in their last 4 on the road. Meanwhile, the Rangers are 34-26 to the under at Globe Life Field. Give me the Seattle Mariners minus 170 and the under 9. Next game, Astros Royals, 8:10 p.m. Eastern start time. Houston's minus 170, numbers 9.5. Zach Greinke for Houston, Brady Singer for Kansas City. Now Singer's just 3-8 with a 5.42 ERA and a 1.63 whip. The righties also walked 40 batters in just over 91 innings of work. The last place Royals are 16 games under 500. And they also rank in the bottom 5 in runs allowed. They're taking on a Houston club who's leading the majors in hits. Michael Brantley's batting a league-leading .328. Yordan Alvarez has also got himself 77 RBI on the year. And needless to say, the Astros are leading the majors in scoring on average per contest. Now, pitching-wise, they do have Zach Greinke on the bump here today. Houston does, and he's 11-3 with a 3.51 ERA and a 1.12 whip. Now, the righties also struck out 107 batters in just over 143 innings. And total-wise, Houston's 31-21 to the over against American League opponents when they travel. Meanwhile, the Royals are 32-29 to the over at Kauffman Stadium. I'm going to lean toward the Houston Astros minus 170 and the over 9.5 runs. Next matchup, A's White Sox, 8:10 p.m. Eastern first pitch. The Chicago White Sox are minus 185, totals 8.5. Lance Lynn for Chicago, Cole Irvin for Oakland. Now, Irvin comes into today's matchup with 8 wins on the year and a 3.52 ERA. Now, the lefty has also struck out 96 batters and has a 1.18 whip. The A's are just 2.5 games behind the first place Astros in the AL West. They're also holding their opponents to just 3.7 runs a game when they travel. Now, they're taking on a White Sox team who failed to cash in on the run line in 3 out of their last 5 home games. This White Sox lineup has also averaged only 3.2 runs a game in their last 10 meetings with Oakland. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Chicago's last 5 at Guaranteed Rate Field got over the line. Meanwhile, Oakland is 7-3 to the over in their last 10 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Oakland A's plus 1.5 and the over 8.5 runs. Next matchup, Phillies, Diamondbacks, 9:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Philadelphia Phillies are minus 160, totals 9.5. Ranger Suarez for Philadelphia. Humberto Castellanos for Arizona. Now, the D-backs have won 4 out of their last 5 ball games. And they cashed in on the run line in 6 out of their last 10. And as putrid as Arizona's been this season, they're somehow in the top 10 in hits on average per game at home. Eduardo Escobar, he's hit 24 home runs and knocked in 72. He's actually in the top 25 in RBI. Now, they're taking on a Phillies club who lost 5 out of their last 7, and they actually play their worst baseball on the road. The Phils have won only 25 out of 58 road games, and that's good for only 43% in that category. Now, this Phillies pitching staff is in the bottom 10 in striking batters out on the road as well. They're also allowing over 8.4 hits a game when they travel. Now, number-wise, Philadelphia has gone 32-26 to the over on the road. Meanwhile, Arizona's 37-24 to the over on their home field. I'm going to lean toward the Arizona Diamondbacks plus 1.5 and the over 9.5 runs. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup. It is going to be Pirates versus the Dodgers, 10:10 p.m. Eastern start time. The LA Dodgers are minus $3, totals 8.5. Now, there's no confirmed starter yet for Los Angeles. JT Brubaker's possible for Pittsburgh. Now, Brubaker's just 4-12 with a 5.13 ERA. The last place Pirates have the second fewest wins in the National League. They're also 36 games under 500, and they win only 29% of their road games. This Pittsburgh lineup scores fewer runs than any other team in baseball. They're taking on a Dodgers club who won their last 5 straight, and they have a record of 38-20 at Dodger Stadium this year. This LA pitching staff strikes out more batters than any other team in the league. They're also allowing just 3.4 runs a game on their home field. Now, total-wise, 7 out of LA's last 10 outings fell under the line. 3 wanted the under in their last 4 at home. Meanwhile, the Pirates went 7-3 to the under in their last 10 themselves. 3 wanted the under in their last 4 when traveling. I'm going to lean toward the LA Dodgers minus 1.5 and the under 8.5 runs. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap. Powered to you by BrockPage.com, where we are coming fresh off our 3rd straight winning day of premium sports picks on that website. I like Cincinnati minus 1.5 over 9.5. Cleveland plus $1 over 9 runs. Colorado minus $1.10 under 13.5. Give me 1 sec here, guys. All right, we're not going to do our quick pick recap because I messed up. But anyway, now it is time for our, what do we do now? Our shout out of the day, and that's powered to you by my website, Patreon, BrockPage.com. Damn it, dude. Hold it together. What are we doing here, Brock? All right, shout outs. One final reminder, we're 10-1 in our last $11.99 daily best plays on my website, BrockPage.com. We're also hitting at 75% our last dozen extra daily picks on that very same site. And with that, it's time for our shout out of the day, and that goes to Sean Thompson, who, I'll tell you what, Sean gave me a really nice plug yesterday. In the comments section, somebody had asked, where the rest of the picks were yesterday. I only did 3 games on YouTube yesterday, and I'll tell you what, Sean just broke it down to him and, told him how to get the real deal on my website and gave him a lot of good info and certainly had my back and came to my side there. So, Sean, I greatly appreciate your support, and I'm glad you answered the question for him. I really appreciate that. So once again, Sean, thank you for dropping me a line in the comments section. Now, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on my website, BrockPage.com. If you guys end up getting a membership here today, just keep in mind, you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that if you continue to opt in. So if you do end up getting a membership here today, you're actually going to get access to that content all the way through the end of August. And I always tell people, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. And with that said, guys, happy Wednesday to you. Happy hump day to you. I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.